Everybody get up, no need to cram now. We got a real jam going down, going down, going down, going down, going down, going down. Welcome to the IntelliJAMS.
What do you want to jam on this week?
Learn at a glance at
So I've been having a lot of customer conversations lately, and there's like this one thing that has really been on my mind lately that I want to jam on, and it's this concept of like D2C is changing, and I've been kind of coining it as we've moved out of this era of advertising excellence and into this era of operational excellence.
Wow. What does that mean? Can you like maybe expand? Well, like what does operational excellence even mean?
Yeah. So for me, operational excellence is like I'm seeing brands get very focused and win based on the business fundamentals. So like this seems so strange to think about, but for so long in direct to consumer or in e-com, it was Meta created this like the best in class way to go do customer acquisition. So you had all of these brands winning and taking advice on like, how do I become as efficient through my advertising as possible? Where I think in the changing landscape right now, especially with like tariff pressures, you're seeing people stop thinking about like, how do I be best in class at advertising and how do I become a best in class business? And that operational excellence comes from like, am I excellent in my supply chain management? Am I excellent in my product mix? Am I excellent in where I'm like actually choosing to sell? And that operational excellence for me is like underpinned by basically one thing is like, what are my margins like? Like, am I actually running a foundationally sound and profitable business?
So I'm curious to get your take. I saw Sean Frank, who's the co-founder at Ridge Wallets. I saw him post something that this seems related. I'm curious to get your take if this is related or if it's similar but not the same. And he was saying that when he talks to a lot of brand founders, a lot of times people who are at 1 million want to get to 5, or 5 want to get to 10, or 10 want to get to 9 figures. And like, there's always this sort of like search or this aspiration of if I could only get to that next level. And he said, you're thinking about it all wrong because people are seeking, they think that there's comfort or stability in scale, but really like you get comfort and stability in having healthy fundamentals. And then from there you earn the right to scale. But if you like, you could have a $20 million revenue business built on unhealthy fundamentals and you're going to be in a way worse off position than like you were if you had the same unhealthy fundamentals at a $2 million business. And I'm curious, like, if that's kind of the same thing for you.
It's, I think same, but different is like, there's this constant pursuit of, again, like those different revenue goals. It's like, oh, I'm a $5 million brand or I'm a $100 million brand. And like, again, $100 million brand might actually be like taking home the same as a $5 million brand. Like if your margins are not in the right spot, like you are just doing a ton of business.
Or less.
But or you might be losing money. And like, this is what's super interesting to me is like, we had Ben Perkett, like I started this podcast called Quarters and Cents with Ben over at Anchor, and he just went through kind of like I don't know what you would call it, like a restructure or whatever, where it was like, hey, I want to grow fast. And then he had his debt called and he had to like start repaying debt. So he had to free up cash and be more profitable, and it like forced him to start operating like this. And then he started to realize like, oh no, this actually is the way to operate. Like I can grow slower and more intentional and like keep my margin intact as I start to like go pursue these different opportunities. And that is putting me in a like fundamentally, again, like operational excellence is putting me in a much better spot. Like we were jamming and he's like, I actually am not investing like anything in advertising right now. And I'm like in a better off spot than I was 6 months ago.
Yeah, actually one thing that you meant, so another example that comes to mind, Drew Todd, who is based here in Denver and is the founder of Feels, which is a like CBD THC microdosing product with a bunch of different form factors. Their top selling is gummies. And he talks about sort of a big, like a moment, they were at the edge. They were out of money and funding and dried up. And they basically cut everything and they had to build the company from the bottom up. They cut marketing spend. They cut team from like 30 to 5. They created all sorts of, and up until then, everything was about grow at all costs and like marketing spend and growth of team and growth of product assortment. And he's like, we slimmed it all down. We focused on what was healthy. And then like all of a sudden we went from being like out of money, cash flow negative to being like cash flow positive, changed a few fundamentals about my cash flow and cash flow conversion cycles. And like has since been able to like grow that tremendously and like completely just like putting money back into the business. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that that's tremendously powerful. When we were first starting IntelliJAMS, and I'm sorry I'm taking up so much of the mic here, but actually, this is awesome. I know you're passionate about it, but you're getting me fired up, Alex.
Love it.
When we first started IntelliJAMS, like one of the most common things that we would hear, and granted, this was like in the 2021 era of like unlimited financing, or brands up until that point were had access to unlimited financing, which was I've been running my e-commerce business at negative 10% operating income or contribution margin. And so now I have negative 10%. And so when I was a $1 million brand, okay, like I can afford to burn $100,000 a year. But now I'm a $10 million brand and I can't afford to be burning $1 million a year because I will quite frankly, run out of money. And like, I can't, like, I thought that I would gain economies of scale as I grow, but I haven't achieved that. And so now I'm a $10 million business and I need to find 20 points of margin to go from negative 10% to positive 10%, or otherwise like I don't have a business. And that's a lot harder to do at 10 million in revenue.
100%. And like that concept of like, we'll figure it out when we get bigger, or like, hey, I'm going to find these economies of scale. Go ask any brand that has like maybe eclipsed the like $20 million mark. Is like, it doesn't get easier or like cheaper as you grow. No. You just like are reallocating funds to like different problems and different opportunities. So this like myth of I'll hit a scale where like, oh, it's all just going to make sense all of a sudden. Maybe, but probably not. Like you need to have, again, that operational excellence, like those foundationally sound. And you hit on a few things in there, which I think is like, hey, capital isn't as cheap as it used to be. Like you have to fund your own growth now. And like the only thing that you can reinvest into your growth is profit. Like I need dollars to reinvest in growing because like I'm not going to find it from VC. It's like interest rates are higher than they were in kind of like the e-commerce boom. Like I need to find those ways to do it myself. And like Ben had this crazy line where he's like, everyone's always like, oh, you need to spend money to make money. And he's like, I feel like we just need to start saying you need to make money to spend money.
I like that. Let's flip it. We'll flip the script.
So good. And like, I think the other piece of this too, and like one of the reasons I'm so excited about this for IntelliJAMS specifically is like when you thought about like advertising excellence versus operational excellence is like, I feel like testing when it came to be as like a very popular tool in D2C, it was very much used as like, how do I optimize my landing pages? Because I was in pursuit of advertising excellence, right? It was like all conversion rate oriented. Like, how do I eke out a few more conversions out of the dollars I'm running through the meta machine? Where if you're looking at like that operational excellence now of like, you and I have jammed on like a gajillion different ways to potentially like be more profitable or like find more dollars is, hey, is that a profitable endeavor? Does using this tool make me more profit dollars? Does having a different catalog mix or a different offer, all of these things that kind of like elevate and go beyond the page that let you see like, am I being operationally efficient across my business rather than, hey, did I eke out a few more points of conversion in my landing page from my ad?
I mean, I think what you're saying, and I love this, is like it all comes back down to thinking about profit, thinking about margin, thinking about dollars, and like efficiency of those dollars, and not necessarily about just like grow at all costs.
Exactly. You can't pay and you can't pay your bills with conversion gains. You can pay your bills with profit dollars.